I will say, the next scene is we follow Rhaenyra into talking to Mysaria, and it is another
Oh boy.
fucking bad scene. We open with Mysaria saying, "It was worth the risk no matter the outcome." No, it wasn't. That is not true. Why would you even say that? It's not always worth the risk no matter the outcome. You crazy? Like, what, are we just gonna kill everybody until we get a dragon? What nonsense
That's
is
not a
this?
thing.
Especially a guy as great as he was to her. He was such a valuable asset in terms of his loyalty.
Loyal,
And it seemed
skilled,
to be a
and a part of an important house. Oh well, down he goes. Obviously,
Very
what
trustworthy.
I already like is the first thing she says, and it's already just like fuck off. What a bad line. So then, Rhaenyra says, "What, more good men killed? That's my fault." And Mysaria says, "Sir Stefan went willingly."
As if that's
What
like a
kind of
meaningful
what?
rebuttal to what she
He
just
gave
said.
So it's
consent.
He
okay
went
then.
willingly, but like, wouldn't it have been way better if he was still alive?
Yeah,
It's
well,
so much
and
better if you lead willing men to their deaths.
he went willingly because he was told it was possible when you have no idea if it actually
Well,
is.
yeah, exactly. I mean, as he was there burning up, do you think he was like, well, I mean, I chose this, so it's chill?
Yeah, that just doesn't make it okay, and it's not at all the interesting route to take here. And it starts to become a thing of, Rhaenyra, do you like Mysaria the most because she just doesn't challenge you in any way?
Well, I think that's the annoying thing about that character is it feels like she's essentially there to make declarations on behalf of the writers about the way that you ought to feel about situations.
And
And
then,
then to buff her up, to boost
yeah,
her ego.
Mysaria was annoying me more in this scene than Rhaenyra, but then Rhaenyra says, "It was a reckless thought that an ancient Valyrian beast would suffer a darkling to ride it."
Then why?
Racist.
Then why?
Well,
Why do
so
we get?
that's
this
not the
position?
attitude you should have when he just died for you. Like, that
Yeah.
feels
seriously.
weird,
Just
man.
assassin
Like,
his
yeah, what a
family.
loser.
I'm
I never
more
should
than
have thought a
fine.
loser like him.
I get the Targaryen supremacy thing from all Targaryens, but that doesn't feel like Rhaenyra's character whatsoever to, after he dies, comment on how he had fucking mud blood, you know? Just like, whatever, he was a fucking Darkling, why would I have expected anything different? It's like, wow.
And also, like, surely that's a thing that, again, that's a bad thing that she said there. That was very mean.
It was very mean.
Like I said,
Poor
it's
guy.
Understand this?
It's bad that you could
he's
say it's
looking
bad
down
that
from
she
heaven
believes
going,
it, but
wow.
how inappropriate to fucking say at that point when you know for a fact that everyone would have said what Bartimus was saying to her was inappropriate because she's currently experiencing emotions. But apparently not. She's gotten over it so quickly, she's now being racist. It's like, okie dokie.
Can't be
That's the
racist
next
to white
step.
people, Mahler.
What about
Racism is
Darklings?
how she copes.
Oh, absolutely. I'm racist to the Darklings all the time.
I mean, like, they're
Darn
barely
them.
people.
And yeah, her playing with a sword, by the way, like a fucking child. Mysaria says, "If I may, Your Grace, this becomes you." Like,
Shut
you
up!
look cool with the sword. It's so tiring.
Stop
She
talking.
treats
Does
you like
it-
a child, and you don't even notice.
Does it not just read perfectly as like an insidious foreign agent, like trying to work her way into the good wills of, I guess, somewhat gullible and vain queen, so that she can, make use of that for her own ends or in some way?
That's the thing, like, that's the correct way to read it based on all of the
Yeah.
information that has been
Yeah.
provided so far in the story, but unfortunately it is just, no,
It's just
she is
not
actually,
true.
like, helping her out, and everything that she's meant to be saying here is meant to be taken as essentially true observations. It's
That would
such
be
an unfortunate thing about, like, the dynamics, right? That when you watch the Green Council, there's so many different sort of variables at play, and everybody's got their own agenda, and it's like recognized as such by the show, and so all of the scenes are written with that in mind. Whereas with the Black Council, it's just everybody else, their opinion doesn't matter. Mysaria,
And then
everything
half
that
of
she
it's
says
Mysaria,
is
yeah.
it's just true. That you are meant to take these as like true, accurate, intelligent observations.
It'd be funny if they just write her out between seasons and just say, "Oh yeah, she was a spy or something.
She went to
We
her home
fed her to a
planet.
dragon."
She died on the way.
She was executed between scenes. Between
Damon
seasons.
left and took my interest in the Dragonstone plotline with him, I guess.
A little bit. Well, because what they talk about in that scene is their plan to that they're going to give the Smallfolk of King's Landing access to food through a bunch of boats, and they're going to enact it soon enough to get, like, benefit with them and everything. And I was just thinking to myself, right? Mysaria is supposed to be the character that is of the people for the people, so to speak. That's why she likes Rhaenyra, because she's like, you know what, you do care about the people, and I care about you, and we're gonna make this work. It's an archetype that's been done before in Game of Thrones as well. The thing about it is, like, you're gonna be the one that provides them food. You'll be seen as great and everything. And I'm kind of like, I kind of hate Mysaria because the show, I think, believes she's the hero of the people as well. Yet her plan was to use the people's suffering to her advantage, right? Like, Rhaenyra is the reason they're starving, and Rhaenyra is going to provide the food that was already meant for them back to them to make the claim that she's taking care of them. That's obviously manipulation. Everyone knows that. It's a tactic, and it's going to work because people want food. So you can't really have that and have Mysaria be clean as the person who's advocating for the safety and happiness of the people, the small folk, you know? It's like, well, you're using their suffering as currency. You'll know better than anyone else in this story.
That's something I'm very glad that you brought up, because I don't think the show wants to acknowledge that this is not some benevolent move from Rhaenyra.
No.
And she's not, like, clean in terms of how she deals with it. Because, again, she is the reason they're starving in the first place. So it is very much like a token gesture to give some of the food that they would be getting anyway.
But not
back
before
in such a manner
relabeling
that
it.
Instigates riots. Yeah.
Like, isn't that funny? This is the food I stole from you, but I put my name on it now, so...
But
it
feels like the show doesn't realize, or doesn't want to admit, I don't know, one of the two, that she is in fact very much responsible for their situation in the first place.
So that does
the Civil War is
that does get somewhat highlighted. In the next scene, Aemon says, "Why is it that they're mad at us when Rhaenyra is the one that cut off the food to them?" And I think there's nuance in the fact that they look to their king to provide, and if he doesn't, then he's failing, so to speak. I get that. My problem comes in where the show thinks Rhaenyra is doing a good thing. I get that the people would feel a particular way that works. It's just, being like, gosh, what a nice person Rhaenyra is, feeding the people. It's like, she's starving them, so don't start. Because I think they have quite, like, happy, heroic-ish music for when her food arrives. Sort of like, you did it, accomplishment.
You did a
We're
good
taking
thing.
care of the small folk that we're starving.
Curious. Because we get another scene of the small folk seeing sheep being brought in for the dragons, but barely any food being left for them, so they get more and more restless. Anyway, cool scene and all, but now we got to do the next one. Any of you guys know which one's the next one?
That's the ending.
I've heard of
It stars our favorite character, Mysaria.
Yes, it's her again. Oh,
so happy she's back.
You go, girl.
I'd rather just summarize it.
Why
I
not
consider
just
this
have them be in love with each other.
This is like nuclear cringe. So the summary of it is the plan with the food delivery went well. It's like okie dokie, and then Rhaenyra's like, I don't feel very much like I'm suitable for queen right now. Not feeling good about myself. So obviously she's talking to Mysaria because she's just her hype queen that tells her everything she needs to know. And so she says that she gives her backstory, and then she ends it with saying, "You're like the perfect person for this ever, and I want you to rule, and I choose you, and you're the bestest ever." I was very, very disappointed in all of this because they hug, and then they start making out.
What? This was... this is one of those things
faithful challenge impossible.
When you see this this is one of those scenes where when you see it, you think, oh, this is a dream sequence. Someone's dreaming this. This isn't actually happening. This is a daydream. Someone's nodded off, and this is David and Harrenhal.
Like, when the shot hangs for like more than 5 seconds, you go, oh. Like, it's just, what's about to happen, but you're like, well, why though?
Something that they can honestly take credit for in terms of just being able to, they really did capture the potency of cringe. The way they start to look at each other slowly, like almost everybody that I know watched this had the exact same experience of what? What? Like it's just this
Yeah.
this gradually louder and faster what's until they actually kiss, and you're just like, what?
What? Where did this come from?
It's like one of the writers just wrote some fan fiction off
Yes.
hours and
Well, wait,
accidentally submitted it,
but
and it was like, holy shit, they shot it.
Isn't it unclear if it was improvised or not?
No, it's clear. I just agree with Mark that it comes across as though it's some weird
Yeah.
fan fiction. But no,
Everything
this
to do
was,
with Mysaria, just she has really strong self-insert energy at this
Yeah.
point.
is
And actually, I'm the one who gets to advise the good queen, and she really loves me. And then we make out,
We
and I'm
connect on
really
a
smart.
spiritual level.
And
I'm
yeah, and
really
she
smart.
respects me.
Turns out Alice Rivers has been real the whole time, but Mysaria is
No.
the ghost.
Oh,
I hope she's a
it would be
ghost
better if she was a
soon.
ghost. Yeah, she Emma D'Arcy is the one that suggested they kiss. They didn't originally kiss in the scene.
Well, so then what's the plan meant to be for those characters going forward?
Don't know. Not sure that I even. I was about to say don't care, but what I mean by that is I wouldn't care. Like, it's killing my investment in obviously their relationship,
Rhaenyra.
Mysaria as a character, but then also, yeah, like I said, it's a tumor on Rhaenyra. It's annoying the hell out of me that she has no character history that would support treating someone like this. I've heard such crap excuses, like they share the same history. That's why she, I don't know, bonded to her so quickly, as if she's a.
When was Rhaenyra a
I mean, how do you
prostitute?
move past the fact that
poor.
fundamentally the reason why any of this is happening in the first place is because Mysaria handed Aegon over to Otto instead of like making any other choice?
Honestly, Frankie, I
She was
think
like-
the short-term memory of a lot of people who just don't care about this stuff is just gone. There's no we've practically that was this season.
Like-
We've moved so far past it as like she traitor.
But the thing
like-
is, like it was a couple of weeks ago in the actual timeline.
No, I know that's what I'm saying. Is that it just doesn't get
It's
remembered,
more
even though it's super
recent history
important.
than, like,
She
know, the
sold
episodes of
secrets
season
about their
one.
house that caused serious damage
Yeah.
to them, and then she was just like, "Nah, I'm your
And-
friend now."
and she was instrumental in putting Aegon on the throne, which has
yeah.
created this whole crisis in the first place. And yet Rhaenyra doesn't really care because when she decided to let her go for no good reason at all, like it was completely detrimental to her to do that, she just so happened to walk past the twin and then go back and tell her, and now that's put her in a position where she seems to have more influence than the Hand of the King.
And
He is
Corlys,
basically
yeah.
the de facto hand of Rhaenyra, basically. And all she does is just gas her up and then just make statements that the writer is basically trying to convey as these are true observations about the world and Rhaenyra and her standing in it. Like, she's such a frustrating character every time she shows up. It's like,
She's
all right, here we
earning-
go.
She's not earning anything. She doesn't have to face the
Exactly. She's being
repercussions
given it.
of the life she's living, the actions she's committing to, and she gets to benefit
Yeah, like,
enormously. Nobody else gets this kind of treatment in this show.
I think that's yeah, exactly. It's annoying when you see. Well, it's not annoying. It's good writing, right? When Allison gets, you know, the ending of her storyline of like, yeah, you all of the decisions you made have ultimately led you to a position where you have no power at all, or you know, like Aegon brashly heading into battle because he needed to prove his own worth to himself because of his own, you know, like problems with his image and relationships with his family members, and then that causes him to be grievously wounded, which then will probably create a transformation in that character. Like, I can only assume that Aegon's going to transform into a very different character because of this.
Yeah,
It's
I
like, yeah,
think
that's
so.
storytelling. That's
Yeah,
storytelling.
I'm curious about
Meanwhile,
that.
Mhm.
Mysaria, her punishment was essentially she had a bad episode where things weren't so great for like 10-15 minutes, and then she got catapulted to one of the most important and influential people in Westeros, essentially. She has
Yeah.
massive sway over Rhaenyra, more so than anybody else, even Corlys. And Corlys,
Even Damon.
and that's another example of a character who's been punished, essentially, for a lot of the choices that he's made. He was so obsessed with legacy that now he's basically on an island alone, like, with no family. And yet, even that hasn't earned him enough of a capacity to have any influence over Rhaenyra's opinions.
Well, yeah,
It's-
we'll talk about this next time as well. We're going to double dip because I despise it so much. But she goes out to see, someone says Sea Smoke is out there and he's got a rider. So she goes out and sees him, and that's the end of the episode. She goes and speaks to Adam, and then she comes back home, and there's this, oh god, my head almost exploded. They Corlys comes into the council to say, hey, she's home and she's fine. They're like, well, where the fuck is she? And who's the rider? Sea Smoke and stuff. And he's like, Corlys is just like, I don't know where she is. She's not coming back yet. And they just hard cut to her hanging out with Mysaria again.
So annoying. I'm so frustrated. Like, this is Corlys and the rest of your court, and you have shit to do. This random guy shows up with Sea Smoke, and you're just hanging out with Mysaria. You have work to do, woman.
Oh, it was so painful to watch. So painful. And so was this, by the way. She almost gets caught immediately. Which, by the way, not going to look good when part of the propaganda that's made about Rhaenyra is that she's like the whore queen who has the bastards and stuff. Like, oh yeah, by the way, she's fucking kissing a girl who was in her prison a week ago or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like, nice. Good job. We're going to instill a lot of faith. It's
well, it feels like something that it does seem like, I don't know how much of it is meant to be an observation that the show is making, but just think about how much destruction is wrought on innocent people who are uninvolved, essentially because of family dynamics having massive geopolitical consequences.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, because this person doesn't get along with their mum, they make all of these choices that then cause a war. Like that the show is meant to be pointing out. Isn't that insane? That essentially these stupid family dynamics are causing massive repercussions for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of people.
So,
but then eventually it just like disappears, right? Like at certain points with certain characters of the repercussions of their fundamentally like solely self-serving actions just like completely evaporate.
But here's the thing. The one thing they get right about this is the music is ominous when they're kissing. Definitely not happy music. It's definitely like,
do you think it's ominous because it's like, oh no, what if someone walks in and sees this?
Obviously for us, we would be like, the music should be that way because this is a terrible decision in many, 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 many ways. The thing is, and this was a take I saw from many people, all right, this is not one crazy person, several very influential. They were like, oh, they played the ominous music over the lesbians kissing because you can't have lesbians.
What?
You can't have lesbians.
I was just like,
like people don't.
We stop doing this.
Is
I
the
thought it was so
insinuation that
fucking
all of a
weird.
sudden people don't like lesbians?
I think the best version of the argument was something along the lines of, you see, all the guys can fuck around, but the second Rhaenyra expresses any kind of connection with someone that's not a man, and that's not necessarily the person she's married to, suddenly it's like the most sinful thing that's happened in the show. Why does the show hate lesbians?
Oh yeah, because Aegon's a fucking saint.
I don't even.
absolutely.
This is what I mean. I don't know what to say. A Song of Ice and Fire's universe has never taken the position that promiscuity is just automatically makes you a monster. It's more complicated than that. It's usually related to like these decisions as they relate to other responsibilities,
Or even homosexuality for that matter.
well,
Like, sometimes it causes issues, but at the same time, like it happens a lot clearly, and no one seems to
they've
really care.
definitely had lesbians and bisexuals and gays in Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon before. That's not new.
It inflicted Pedro Pascal on every other movie or TV show that's happened since.
I mean, I think it would have been Game of Thrones and Narcos that probably got him that.
Yeah, probably.
But
And also like Rhaenyra is in a very like a special position where she in particular shouldn't be doing that because that has very deep political consequences. She's not just anybody.
well, and so some people are like, Daemon's not going to care. And I'm like, I don't know what Daemon's going to think of this. Remember, he was half willing to kill this woman. I'm very sad that he didn't, like in episode 1 or whatever.
If we want to talk about, like, I guess the difference in gender roles as relates to promiscuity, we can do that, but I don't think the show is uncritical of that, so I don't really know what to say.
Oh, well, that's the thing. It's unclear what the show is doing with Mysaria ultimately. We'll find out. Like I said, if they make it so that she was manipulating Rhaenyra the whole time, I actually would consider that kind of bold and more interesting than anything else that they're more than likely going to do.
Yeah, I don't believe it, but
We'll see.
I hope, I guess.